is a news show.
Sup, Nation? Welcome to the Tuesday show. My name, of course, Philip DeFranco, and this show is really just me talking about news, tap stuff, and things that matter to me today. And Nation, the first thing I want to talk about today is super happy fun time cuddly top news. And that's the story of a group of Chinese cyclists who came across a stray dog sleeping in the middle of the road. One of the cyclists felt bad for the dog, gave her a drumstick, and it followed them for 24 days. But like I said, these guys were cyclists, so the dog did not only follow them, but then ran with them on their 1,000-mile ride to Tibet. The cyclists have since named the dog Zai Sa, or Little Sa, and she has climbed 10 mountains over 13,000 feet high, and she ran on uphill sectors where bikers preferred to take the bus. And the story has a happy ending because once the journey, the ride was over, the cyclist that initially gave Zai Sa a drumstick adopted it. And I guess the main thing with this story is there's probably like a life lesson or metaphor about life somewhere in there, but I don't care. It's just something that makes me happy that I wanted to share with you, and also it gives me a chance to say, if you do want to add a dog to your family, you should adopt/rescue. I'll include links down below where you can find that, or go through a breeder. There are a lot of places online where they have reviews. They show that they're actually not puppy mills. But super main point, look at his little face. And we move on. And Nation, the next thing I want to talk about is 17-year-old Diane Tran. Now that name might sound familiar because the guys over at SourceFed talked about this yesterday. That being the story about how Judge Lanny Moriarty? Someone actually has that last name? Evil. But how this judge sentenced Diane Tran to 24 hours in jail because, according to Texas law, if a student has 10 or more unexcused absences within a 6-month period, the school district may refer the student to a juvenile court, where the student will be justly punished. And the reason this was a story wasn't because it's like, oh, well, that's kind of strict. But the story was that Diane was sentenced even though the judge knew that the reason Diane had missed all those classes is because she's a BAMF. Her parents are divorced and moved away, essentially leaving her to fend for herself and her siblings. Not only does she go to school where she is an honor roll student despite the absences, she's working 2 to 3 jobs at any given time to take care of her family. And despite all this, she was sentenced to go to jail and have an example made out of her, which I think many people would agree is ridiculous. This girl exemplifies all the good things about America. The idea that if you try and bust your ass hard enough that you can succeed. And so I'm mentioning this for 2 reasons today. One, I want to join the guys at SourceFed as far as getting this story out there. If you want to sign a petition to get this sentence taken away, link down below. But the other super awesome update to the story comes from the Louisiana Children's Education Alliance, who started HelpDianeTran.com, and over $27,000 has been donated to help this girl and her family out. And so I just wanted to share how the awesomeness of the internet can turn a shitty, stupid situation into something actually positive. And I want you to try and hold on to that positivity because the news just kind of gets ugly from here. And wow, oh wow, are there some terrible things today, and maybe you can help me figure out which is worse. Most likely by now you heard the story about how over Memorial Day weekend in Miami, a man was eating another man's face. And you know, a lot of people joke like, oh, the zombies are here, Phil. But when you actually look at the story, it's terrifying, and it's not a warning of the zombie apocalypse, but a warning, once again, of what police believe is some guy that did way too much coke or smoked bath salts again. As of recording this, the official toxicology has not come back, but police say that's really the only explanation of why a naked 31-year-old Rudy Eugene was found consuming a man's face on Saturday. New pictures have been released of what actually happened to the homeless man who was attacked. I am not going to include them in this video because you know how I sometimes say things are not safe for work? This is just not safe for life. Like, it will traumatize you. I know that we talk like, oh, we're desensitized. This is terrifying. And so links down below if you want to traumatize yourself for life. And so I guess the main point of that story is don't smoke bath salts. Why would you do that? And so that story, terrible, but I don't know if it's as bad as what happened to this 22-year-old pregnant woman in Detroit. This also happened on Saturday, and she was kidnapped, set on fire, and shot. And that's just the quick story. The full thing is just terrifying. The woman was dropping the father of her unborn baby off at his house when she was attacked from behind. Then reportedly 2 men, one of whom thought to actually be the father, bound her hands, feet, and eyes with duct tape, then forced her into a car. She was taken to an undisclosed location, doused with lighter fluid, and then set on fire. One of the men then shot her in the back, and they left her to die. But here's the crazy thing. The woman's fine. She was reportedly able to run, roll around, put out the fire, undo the duct tape, get out of that situation, get into a car, drive to a gas station, and call her mom. All while 9 months pregnant, and the baby's fine. The ultrasound came back perfect. And so I guess the main points here, 1, everyone is fucking crazy, and 2, this is why I started today's show off with a puppy. A Nation, from there, let's move on to Quicken News. Stories I want to share but do not deserve 1 to 3 minutes of today's show. The first is that Amazon Instant Video is now available on Xbox 360s. So that means that if you have an Xbox 360 and Amazon Prime account, you can play up to 17,000 movies and TV TV shows, which for the most part kinda sorta suck. Though they did recently strike up a deal with Paramount Movies, so they have things like Mission Impossible 3, Star Trek, Nacho Libre, but really the only thing I care about are the older movies that like Netflix doesn't have, like a la Clueless. Yes, I love that movie. Easily one of Paul Rudd's finest works, and also Top Gun? I'm sold. Then of course the original crypt of Elvis Presley and his mother is now available for sale. So if you want your final resting place to be where the king and his mother were for 2 months, you can do that now for some reason, and it's totally not creepy. Then of course you have the fast food chain Taco Bell, who took another step in the direction of acknowledging that the only people that eat their food are potheads and people drunk at 5 o'clock in the morning by adding their new morning drink, orange juice mixed with Mountain Dew. They call it Mountain Dew AM. It has 51 grams of sugar, and for some reason they do not serve it after 11 a.m. So that was a thing. Then of course you have the TSA and the Democrats backing them in the Senate saying that the security fee on your airplane ticket should be doubled. That being, if they have their way on a one-way trip, instead of $2.50, it'll be $5, or on a round-trip ticket, $10. And I don't know about you guys, but personally, the thought of the TSA charging me more to get on a plane, that pisses me off. Why would I want to give more money in an organization that keeps investing money in ways that do not actually protect us? Over the past 2 years, more and more information comes out about how we are actually not safe. That you can easily bypass a body scanner with some sort of bomb, some sort of metal object that it's supposed to be able to pick up. The easiest and most known way is if you have something metal, literally put it on your side. The background of the scan is black. Your body is white. Any metal shows up as black. So people have literally just started putting it on their side. And I guess the main thing for this one is I would have no problem paying more money if I actually believed in what it was going to. And of course, I always like to end Quickie News with something sexy. So for your viewing pleasure, in the links down below, I set up a Frisky Friday gallery. If you're unfamiliar with what Frisky Friday is, Playboy says, "Hey, are you hot? Tweet us a semi-scandalous picture with the hashtag Frisky Friday." And they do it. So I thought I'd do some of the footwork for you and just turn it all into one big gallery of what I found. And also really quickly with Sexy Time News, one of the most common complaints, and not a lot of people complain, is that I don't feature normal/real girls. And while I would argue there is no such thing as a normal/real girl, I get what you're trying to say. So if you want to fix this problem that you have, I set up an email, thenationissexy@gmail.com. If you want to submit a picture and somewhere written on your body, or you're holding a sign that says "Hi Nation" to verify that it's actually you and you're a real girl or woman, what's up, moms? And if we get enough, at least once a week when we do the sexy story of the day, it will be you guys, real girls. There we go, boom, a compromise. So yeah, that was Quickie News. And from there we have an update on the situation in Syria. The first is that the UN released a report that updated the number of casualties from the Hula massacre. Out of the 108 people that were killed during the Hula massacre, 49 of them were children and 34 were women. Along with this report, governments around the world expelled diplomats from their countries, which is a very unusual move. Among the countries you have the United States, who oddly enough hasn't actually had a Syrian diplomat in quite some time. Britain, Canada, Australia, Germany, Italy, Spain, and the Netherlands, but of course not Russia, who of course has a pro-Syrian stance, but who knows really what they're going to do, because Russia usually has a pretty hands-off approach to those sort of things. The Australian Foreign Prime Minister Bob Carr added that these killings are hideous and brutal, and Australia will not engage with the Syrian government unless it abides by a UN ceasefire plan. Although several of the countries that kicked out these diplomats want a much greater change. Germany saying it has been clear not just since Hula that Syria has no future under Assad. He must clear the way for peaceful change in Syria. And really the main thing I get from this, and even yesterday's video, is that hopefully from this terrible thing, the Hula massacre, which was the single most deadly day in the 15-month uprising against Assad, that something might be moving, that something might be changing right now, and finally the world is looking at this. And hopefully this global reaction we've seen the past few days actually does lead to change, or at the very least, people not dying. But guys, that is really it for today's show. Of course, remember today's question of the day is, which of the 2 stories was the most terrifying to you? And of course, remember, if you are not 100% filled in, there are 5 new source-fed videos, and I posted a vlog today. I still do those from time to time. Links down below, but let's finish this bitch off with the part of the show where I throw something at your face, and today it is a $100 Amazon gift card. Of course, to possibly get pelted in the face with said thing, just leave a comment on this video. And of course, a big thanks to those of you that clickety-clack the like button, favorite if you really like it, share wherever you share it. But whether you did or not doesn't change the fact that my name is Philip DeFranco. You've just been filled in. I love your faces, and I'll see you tomorrow.